Wow, what a actually let me scrap that. What a first half. Arsenal 3, Fulham 0. Oh, why didn't you run this sooner? Oh, honestly, for so long I've been saying our attack struggles a lot, and no one can say it doesn't. And that's a personal thing, and also just a quality thing. But one thing I've always said and caveat to that is the midfield doesn't help in terms of it doesn't help our attack. And what I mean by that is the balance of that midfield. I've been saying since I think I've been doing this match reaction. The balance of that midfield doesn't help our attack in the sense that we have a very poor attack, and the reason for that is just on a quality level. But you pair that up with an imbalanced midfield, it makes our attack look even worse than what it is. I said it, Ange was able to get Brennan Johnson and Dominic Solanke scoring an abundance of goals, and we couldn't even get Gyökeres firing in a consistent basis. By the way, okay, cool. He's fired a couple goals before at the start, but he wasn't scoring consistently. I think he went like 8 or 9 games without scoring, and now he is. And that midfield is very, very good. Now let's get into why I was so happy with that performance. I think this is the best we've played, especially the best 45 we've played all season. Yeah, we've had some shocking performances and we've won, but this is one of those games where we played to an exceptional level in that first half. We kept our foot on their necks the whole half, and I'm disappointed in the sense that we didn't kind of kick on a little bit more in the second half and try and really stretch that goal difference a bit more, because ultimately if the league does come to that, then we're gonna have to keep scoring a little bit more. But anyways, let's get into the first half. I like the fullback options. Ben White, I'll be honest, you're reminding me a little bit of Ramsdale in the sense that your not attention to detail, sorry, your concentration levels is concerning. It is very concerning. Like he played all right, but there were times in that first half where he just lapses a little bit. There's a time the ball went across, and he just had to play back to Raya, and he just lost his balance, and we almost got counter pressed in that aspect. And then those times in the second half as well. I think, look, I love Ben White. I think he's a great player, but come this season, he's going to be one of those ones where, yeah, less said about that better. Calafiori, I like Calafiori, but if you can't stay fit, what use are you to us? He had a great game, driving forward really well. He had a goal that got disallowed. He had one that hit the crossbar in the second half. Going forward is really good. Defensively, he's starting to look a lot better defensively as well. It's just a shame that he can't stay fit. This is the only thing about Calafiori that I just don't like. He just cannot stay fit. And let's get into that midfield, because honestly, when that midfield got announced, I was like, okay, finally. But what the thing is, yeah, at the back of my head, I'm thinking, if this doesn't go right, it's going to give him even more of a reason to not try it. And it's a shame that it's taken this long for this manager to try this sort of midfield in a game where it's actually mattered, because a lot of the time he plays Skelly in midfield, he's playing him with Norgard and Kai Havertz, and some makeshift front attack, and it doesn't look as effective because you're playing him against players who are fringe players. But the whole game was played out in that midfield. I think actually a lot of the play in the first half, we actually didn't play as much through the central areas, and that's because Fulham were very compact within those central areas. They had Wilson there, they had Smith Rowe, they had Chukwueze who kind of tuck in as well. So it was actually very difficult to play through them. We did kind of have joy in a little bit, but the game was really won in like the width areas, so like the flanks. with Saka and we'll get to him as well, and Trossard. And that's where the game was really won, in those wider areas. In those central areas, it was just about ensuring that that ball gets to those wider areas in time and in positions where they can actually hurt Fulham. And the good thing about this midfield is I've always seen Skelly as a understudy to Rice, or someone that can play instead of Rice. And in this game, he actually done the opposite. He played Rice as a 6 and then Skelly as the 8. And I think that is a much better balance than going with Rice and Zubimendi. Reason being, with Skelly, when he receives the ball, look very closely when he receives the ball. Two things. One, he gets the ball and tries to play it forward pretty much every single time. I haven't got the stat with me, and I sure don't have the intention of getting the stat. I can just use my eyes. You can look at how many times he got the ball and how many times he played that ball forward. He's a forward-thinking player, and when you're playing as an 8, it just helps progress the ball a lot better, because because so many times when Zubimendi's in the 8 or the 6, he's more about getting the ball ticking. So he receives the ball, goes to Ben White, or he receives the ball, goes back, and it's not that we don't need that. We do need that, but if you play Zubimendi, then playing Rice is a bit counterproductive, because they essentially kind of play with the same mindset, in the sense that he wants to keep the ball ticking, and so does Zubimendi. You don't play both, you play either or. They're too similar in terms of how they play to kind of have an effect in the midfield. The good thing about Skelly is he passes the ball forward a lot more than he passes it back. That's a good thing. The second thing is he drives with the ball under pressure exceptionally well. Like you look at Rice. Rice is good at carrying the ball when the ball's running in front of him. When Rice has the ball facing away from him or facing towards his goal, his skill set is a lot more reduced or diminished, if that makes sense. And we talk about Rice being a very good ball carrier. He had some instances in the first half where he was carrying the ball forward, and a lot of that was the ball was played in front of him, and he had a lot of yards to run towards it. Skelly, on the other hand, can do both. He can receive the ball on the half turn, he can receive the ball in the half space, he can receive the ball facing his own goal, turn and carry, or turn and play our fullbacks, and that's the sort of quality we need in that midfield. I've always said, if you're not going to buy a midfielder in the summer, I'm happy to have Skelly as that, because I just think that balance is there. And obviously Rice being on the right side helps as well, and Skelly being on the left side helps as well. The balance just ticked. It just made more sense. It's a shame that it's taken 35 games for him to finally try something like this, and I'm glad he played the full 90 as well. It gives him a massive headache in the semi-final. Personally, I'll go with the same midfield, but something tells me he's going to go back to Zubimendi and Rice and Eze, which, yeah, it should still be enough to get us through, but I just think the way he drew fouls as well, there was so many times it was under pressure, and the way he just uses his body to protect the ball is something that Zubimendi struggles with a lot. He draws fouls because he manages to get the ball away from the attack, and the attack ends up slicing his foot and he gets the foul. But the way Skelly holds onto the ball, it almost makes the decision for the referee look, the guy's made a foul here, come on. But yeah, Skelly man of the match for me. He had an amazing game. Eze as well. There's a few times as well he needed to release the ball a bit quicker, but again, when you have that full African midfield in there, so I have to say that, but when you have that power in that midfield, two guys who are powerful runners, and two guys who are exceptionally good ball carriers, and also who are good in tight spaces, the midfield just works a lot better, and it kind of diminishes the weakness of our attack. Because when you have a midfield that's able to push us forward a lot more, you get our wingers like Saka and Trossard in areas where they're a lot more threatening. The issue is with when we're having a midfield of Havertz in there and sometimes Marino and stuff like this, the ball doesn't get to our players quick enough, and what ends up happening is that they end up having to drop a lot deeper to get the ball, and then it becomes more difficult because then Gyökeres has to follow suit, and then it's not great. But yeah, that first half performance was one of the best we've played. And Saka, yeah, guys, I've been getting onto Saka all season. I've been saying, look, if he doesn't get his performance up, he will play his way out of this team, and I stand by that. This is one game or first one half. Saka has to up his game even more now. Like I said before, you're now the key talisman of this team. You're now on 300 grand. You're the captain of this team, and I think Odegaard goes. So you're now the key man. And to be fair, you've been the key man for Arsenal for a while now. But now it's even more apparent that you're the main guy because of how much you're on and also how much we depend on you. So we need to see those sort of performances that are winning us games. And that first half was exactly that. He took on his fullback exceptionally well. He holds onto the ball really well, and those little cute passes he played with Ben White. That's exactly the sort of link up that we haven't seen in a long time. Because as good as Timber is, Timber in attack is incredibly frustrating. A lot of the times he tries to put the cross in and it goes up for a throw in, or he ends up, keeper ends up collecting it from the cross. But yeah, Saka, he had a very good half, and I'm glad he got taken off because we got Atletico Madrid in the set and at the Emirates on Tuesday, and that's the sort of game where we need you to step up again. It's all good playing against Fulham, and trust me, this is a massive 3 points because it keeps that momentum going, and also we're hoping that Everton can do us a little favour. So yeah, this is a massive performance, and you stepped up where we needed you, but now we need you to step up again against Atletico Madrid, because that's going to be another tough game. So we need you to step up against that and get us through to the final, because that's going to be another harder game for us. And I think we edge it in that game, but it's about getting through to that. But yeah, Saka had an amazing game. He took on his fullback, and that's kind of how the cross came in. And we saw something that we haven't seen a lot this season, where our attack is starting to understand and play with Gyökeres a lot more. There's a lot of opportunities where Saka got the ball. He understood, yeah, I'm not cutting in anymore. Go down the outside. Sometimes you can cut in and shoot, but that first goal kind of epitomizes why you need a striker, and why having a striker is so important, because Havertz doesn't make that run. Havertz probably peels back, and maybe even, to be fair, there's a few times when he did pull it back, and Eze could have scored in that first half as well. But there were so many times when he pulled that ball right across. Sometimes when you have a striker who's just a striker, sometimes just pulling that ball right across the two centre backs and just hope for the best, get that ball into the danger zones, and he done that, and that's how we got our first goal. And that's the beauty of having someone who's comfortable going down the outside. And Madueke is comfortable going down on the outside, but that's kind of why we wanted him to play on the left side. But he's not comfortable going down on that side, even though you're on your stronger foot. That's why actually Saka on the left side may actually be something that we could try in pre-season and stuff like this, because he's more comfortable going down the outside than Noni is. When Noni came on, God almighty. Yeah, less said about that about. We'll get to him in a second. But yeah, excellent performance, excellent goals from Gyökeres. He played really well, held up the board really well, helped Saka, linked up well with Saka for the first and second goal. And that's the sort of performances we need from our strikers as well, especially going into the final couple games of the season. We need that momentum. The league isn't in our hands; it's in both our hands, City and Arsenal. So it's about doing our bit to ensure that we are playing well, and good performances breed an excellent changing room or dressing room, because the momentum you carry from having playing well is something that you can't replicate. So it was really good, excellent cross from Trossard as well. he also played really well in the first half and a little bit in the second half. Second half comes, we take off a lot of the players, which I don't mind, to be fair. Skelly carries on. He had a good game overall, and now, I'm thinking of Skelly and I'm thinking, yeah, he's now the A option. He's now the A option. I don't know what's happened with Norgard. I actually don't think he's a bad player, Norgard, but it's a bit weird how he's just been kind of frozen out a little bit. It's weird what's happened there, but Skelly is 100% someone that can now play there, and he's shown that he can play there, and I want to see him play there. It's a shame it's taken this long, but we got there, and that's what that matters. Gyökeres came off, Jesus came on, Max Dowman, little good cameo. The only thing I have with Max is, you see the difference between how Skelly carries the ball and how Max carries the ball. Skelly carries the ball, and either two things happen. Either he draws the foul, or that ball goes out to the wide areas. He releases the ball just in time. Max, on the other hand, I think overdoes it a little bit, in the sense that there's a few times where he had the ball and he carried it well from the central areas and pushed us up the field. And then there's a time when he could have gone to Noni a little bit quicker, or there's a time when he could have actually passed it a little bit quicker to Jesus, and he just held it off for a little bit too longer. He took the shot, and it was a shot that didn't even really trouble the keeper much. We ended up going out for a goal kick. And then there was a time when we were on the break, he was carrying the ball, and then it's a simple pass out to Noni Madueke. It ends up under hitting it, and the attack breaks. So there's a few times he's just a little bit too erratic on the ball, and I think that obviously that will come with refinement, and eventually he'll know just when to release the ball a lot quicker. He's good at holding the ball and carrying it. It's just that next step now in his development, and also he's young. Obviously when Ethan comes and all these guys come, we'll start to have a much more in-depth attack, because Odegaard, Tomiyasu, I'm getting Tomiyasu vibes from this guy. Knock after knock. How many times are you going to be falling sick, falling injuries, all these things? Like, he's reminding me of Tomiyasu. And Odegaard, maybe it's time to go with Martin, which is fine. Havertz, leave. But yeah, I think that's it. 6 points. Let's hope Everton can do us a favour. We've got West Ham next, and that won't be an easy game. They're fighting for their life, and potentially that could, if they don't win that could potentially relegate them, because they didn't have a good result against Brentford. I didn't watch the game, but I heard they had some very off decisions. But yeah, 6 point lead. City go to Everton with a goal difference to match as well. Let's just hope Everton can do us a favour. 3 points wouldn't have from Everton. You lot are fighting for Champions League. It's time you lot pull up your socks a little bit. But yeah, I'll leave it at that, guys, and I'll see you at Atletico Madrid on Tuesday, hopefully with a smile on my face, because we've made a Champions League final. But you will never know with Arsenal, so I'll leave it at that.